Nibdew issa għad-dibattiti. The next point of the agenda is the declaration of the European Council and the European Commission, the preparation for the meeting of the European Council of the 21st to the 22nd of October 2021. I'd like to remind all colleagues that for all the debates of this partial session, there is not going to be a catch-the-eye procedure and blue cards will not be accepted. And also, as has happened, we will see some interventions remotely from different liaison offices of the Parliament in the different member states. I'll start therefore by welcoming and giving the floor to Angelo Logar on behalf of the Council, the Minister for Foreign Affairs.
President of the Commission, honourable members, from tomorrow, leaders will meet in Brussels for the October European Council, where they will discuss the key issues facing the EU and its citizens today and in the future. The meeting will, of course, start with the usual exchange with the European Parliament. Leaders will discuss the current state of play on COVID-19. The vaccination rollout in the EU has been largely successful, but more needs to be done, especially regarding vaccination hesitancy and disinformation. Further coordination is also needed with regard to free movement and travel to the EU. Given the global nature of the pandemic and the emergence of new variants, international solidarity remains important. Rapid removal of obstacles hampering the global rollout of vaccines, and it is crucial to allow member states to speed up delivery of vaccines to countries most in need. COVID-19 has taught us that we need to be better prepared for the pandemics of the future. In this context, leaders are expected to call for the conclusion of the negotiation on the Health Union legislative package. Member States continue to support a strong and central role of the WHO in global health governance, as well as the creation of an international treaty on pandemics. The hike in energy prices is without a doubt one of the most pressing issues for our citizens and industry today. Following their informal dinner in Brdo in Slovenia, leaders will discuss recent developments in energy prices and possible measures at EU and national level, taking into account the recent Commission communication. The Commission has identified various measures that are at disposal on the national level to mitigate the effect of soaring energy prices. In addition to that, we also expect the leaders to take a closer look at what could be of help at the European level, both short-term as well as in the medium and long term, to reduce our dependency on fossil fuel. At a more strategic level, leaders are expected to have an open discussion on trade. When it comes to the EU global influence, trade remains the most effective instrument in our toolbox. Leaders will discuss how to make the best use of this instrument in light of recent experiences. Leaders will also assess the implementation of the June European Council conclusions on the external dimension of migration. 8 action plans for countries of origin and transit have been presented. Now, these plans need to be made operational and implemented without delay. Leaders are expected to call on the Commission to present proposals for financing action on all migratory routes and to report regularly to the Council in this regard. Europe's digital transformation is also on the agenda, as it is an important driver of economic growth, job creation and competitiveness. Leaders will take stock of progress on digital agenda, including cybersecurity and connectivity, and give a political push to work on existing and future proposals and initiatives. Inclusive and sustainable digital policies and digital connectivity remain important. With regard to external relations, Leaders will discuss the preparation for the upcoming ASEM Summit in November and the Eastern Partnership Summit in December. The prime objective of the Eastern Partnership Summit is to demonstrate the importance of the relationship with Eastern partners. A united EU position is essential if we want to engage these partners successfully. The leitmotif of resilience, recovery and reform should guide the way. In view of the upcoming COP26 summit, leaders are expected to call for an ambitious global response to climate change, urging major economies that have not yet done so to set ambitious national determined contributions in time for COP26, to present long-term strategy for reaching net zero emissions by 2050, and to meet their commitments on climate finance. We will come back to COP26 in our next debate. Leaders will also call for an ambitious post-2020 global biodiversity framework ahead of next year's COP15 meeting on biodiversity in Kunming. I look very much forward to hear your opinion on these important matters, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Logar. And now I give the floor to the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen.
Thank you, Madam President, Minister, honorable members. We will be discussing many important topics at tomorrow's European Council. One certainly will be indeed COVID. I think here to take stock is an important moment because we have reached now 1 billion of doses of vaccines that have been exported from the European Union. And this is exceptional because we are the only region in the world, the only one, who kept exporting doses of vaccine through all the different difficult months we have just overcome. So we have been able really to keep our promise to say every second dose that is being produced in Europe will be exported. By now it's to 150 countries in the world. We will also be discussing, of course, different topics like cyber or the digital, the Polish debate we had yesterday, so I will not focus on that. I wanted to focus today on the topic of electricity prices, very important for us. And here let me begin with 3 simple facts. The first fact is that gas prices are and have always been cyclical, and they are set by global markets. So it's not a regional or local phenomenon, it's a global phenomenon. But of course, we see, because of the price rise in gas, we see that it is for many families now difficult to make ends meet. And we see businesses, for example, at risk of closing. The second fact is that the renewables are on a winning path. If you look at the solar energy today, it's 10 times cheaper than it was 10 years ago. And if you look at wind power, which is by definition more volatile, it is today 50% cheaper than a decade ago. And the third topic is the question of import. And here we see, if we look at gas, 90% of the gas we use is imported, actually 97% of the oil. Renewables are homegrown. So these 3 facts show us that the transition to clean energy is not only vital for our planet, it is also crucial for our economy and for the resilience to energy price shocks. Now, what are the causes of the current spikes? First of all, the global economy recovers from the pandemic, and of course, with that, the energy demand is rising. Second, we had an unusually long and cold winter, so lots of heating, followed by an unusual hot summer, so lots of cooling and use of energy, and this was a fact in the entire Northern Hemisphere. Third, the whole world, of course, is affected, so that means irrespective of countries' energy or climate policies or the energy mix they have, they are affected by the rise of energy prices and electricity prices we see. And in fact, we see that the prices in Asia are even higher than there are here in Europe. Yet there is something specific to the European situation. If we look at the gas and the suppliers, while Gazprom has honored its long-term contracts with us, it did not respond to higher demand as it did in previous years. So Europe is today too reliant on gas. It is too dependent on gas imports. As I said, we import 90% of the gas we use, and this makes us vulnerable. The answer has to do with diversifying the suppliers. But the answer also has to do with keeping the role of natural gas as a transitional fuel. We have to debate that in depth. And crucially, of course, we're speeding up the transition to clean energy. So the European Green Deal is, in the mid and long term, a crucial pillar of European energy sovereignty in the 21st century. But of course, I was speaking about the mid and long term. Rightly so, citizens expect us to act now. They want quick responses. And therefore, let me turn to the measures we are deploying to address the situation, first of all, at the short term. Our priority is to give relief to vulnerable families and businesses. Some measures can be taken very swiftly under the current EU rules. This includes relief for business or families. If you look at the business, of course, I'm talking about the SMEs, through state aid, through targeted support to consumers, and cuts of levy and taxes. Because I want to remind ourselves that if you look at the price itself, on average, 1/3 of the wholesale energy price is set by the market. So it's a market price, 1/3. 1/3 depends on infrastructure. But 1/3, on average, depends on taxes and levies. There are some member states where 50% are taxes and levies on the electricity price. So this is where member states can act very quickly, and by now 20 of our member states are also doing that. À moyen et long terme, la Commission agira dans 5 domaines cruciaux. Premièrement, nous devons mettre fin à la spéculation sur les marchés de l'énergie. C'est pourquoi nous renforçons notre surveillance des marchés du gaz et du carbone. Et nous avons demandé à l'Autorité européenne des marchés financiers d'examiner les comportements en matière de négociation de quotas d'émissions. Deuxièmement, nous évaluerons le fonctionnement du marché de l'électricité. L'organisation de notre marché de l'électricité a donné de bons résultats. Toutefois, à l'heure actuelle, les prix du gaz tirent les prix de l'électricité à la hausse. Nous avons donc demandé à ACER, le nom c'est l'Agence de l'Union européenne pour la coopération des régulateurs de l'énergie, c'est assez long, à ACER, de réaliser une première évaluation du système à la lumière de l'expérience actuelle d'ici mi-novembre. Elle formulera ensuite des recommandations sur la manière de mieux lutter contre l'extrême volatilité du prix. Troisièmement, nous établissons activement des contacts avec les fournisseurs étrangers de gaz. Equinor, Norvège, par exemple, a déjà annoncé une augmentation de ses livraisons. Et début 2022, nous présenterons une stratégie de dialogue international sur l'énergie, également pour aider les États membres dans leurs contacts internationaux. Viertens werden wir uns mit der Frage der Gasspeicherung befassen. Es gibt derzeit keinen europäischen Rahmen für strategische Gasreserven, wie wir ihn beim Öl zum Beispiel haben. Wir könnten uns besser vorbereiten, etwa durch regelmäßige Stresstests unserer Speicher- und Reaktionskapazitäten. Und wir werden neben der strategischen Gasreserve auch erkunden, welches Potenzial zum Beispiel die gemeinsame Beschaffung von Gas am globalen Markt hat, gegebenenfalls auf freiwilliger Basis der Mitgliedstaaten. Wir könnten nämlich dann großen Vorteile am Markt nutzen, die Skalierungseffekte, wenn wir unsere Kräfte auf europäischer Ebene bündeln. Und auch hier kann ein gemeinsamer europäischer Ansatz eine positive, starke Hebelwirkung entfalten. Schließlich zeigt diese Krise, dass wir bei den Investitionen in erneuerbare Energien mehr Tempo brauchen. Jedes Kilowatt Strom aus erneuerbaren Energiequellen ist nicht nur eine Versicherung gegen steigende Energiepreise. Es trägt eben auch dazu bei, unsere Abhängigkeit von Importen zu verringern. Und es macht unsere Gesellschaft und unsere Wirtschaft krisenfester. Wir müssen daher mehr tun bei den Investitionen in erneuerbare Energien und in ein Energiesystem mit angemessenen Lagerungskapazitäten, ein Energiesystem mit grenzüberschreitenden Netzverbünden, gesicherter Grundlast und flexibler Stromerzeugung. Und genau das, nämlich diese Investitionen, das tun wir jetzt zum Beispiel mit Next Generation EU, unserem Aufbauprogramm. In den bisher vorgelegten nationalen Plänen, und das sind 22 Mitgliedstaaten, wo jetzt die Pläne bestätigt sind 36 Milliarden Euro gezielt für saubere Energie vorgesehen. Das beginnt bei grünem Wasserstoff bis hin zum Offshore-Windenergie. Schließlich und endlich, und dieser Punkt ist mir wichtig, auch wenn er sich vielleicht banal anhört, was auf dem Weg in eine Energiezukunft, wenn ich so nennen darf, entscheidend ist, ist echte europäische Teamarbeit. Denn eine wesentliche Hürde sind hierbei die Genehmigungen. Hört sich sehr banal an, ist ein Riesenthema. Es dauert im Durchschnitt 6 bis 7 Jahre, bis eine Windkraftanlage genehmigt ist. Damit ist sie noch lange nicht installiert, geschweige denn up and running. Und das muss sich ändern. Und hier will ich ganz klar sagen, hier sind wir alle mit im Boot. Das heißt, die lokale Ebene, die nationale Ebene und die europäische Ebene. Da ist keiner, der sagen kann, bei mir ist alles in Ordnung. Wir alle müssen da besser werden. Die Kommission wird im nächsten Jahr deshalb Leitlinien zu diesem Thema Genehmigung vorlegen im Rahmen der Erneuerbare Energien-Richtlinie. Und was meine Bitte ist, ist hier, dass wir ganz eng zusammenarbeiten mit dem Parlament und mit dem Rat, damit das nicht wieder verwässert wird und wir nicht aus dieser Genehmigungsfalle oder Verlangsamung herauskommen. Honorable members, science has been telling us for years that we must accelerate the transition towards a carbon-neutral economy. Now the economy is adding another reason to do so. The upcoming COP26 in Glasgow will be the moment for the whole world to speed up action, because the world is not yet on track to match our commitments under the Paris Agreement. We should be fully aware of that. So much more needs to be done to prevent global temperatures from rising more than 1.5 degrees over pre-industrial levels. The European Union will bring to Glasgow the highest level of ambition, and we do it for all future generations, we do it for our planet, and we do it for Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President von der Leyen. And now I'll start the round of the different political groups, starting with the European People's Party group. I give the floor to Esther de Lange.
Yes, thank you, Madam Vice President. I think we cannot start this debate today about the upcoming European Council without looking back at yesterday's debate with Prime Minister Morawiecki. Because at this Council, clearly the rule of law risks being the elephant in the room. And let me remind all of you of Article 15 of the treaty. The European Council shall provide the Union with the necessary impetus for its development and shall define the general political directions and priorities thereof. On the rule of law, we've heard the Commission yesterday, and we thank you for that. But the European Council